Yes, the sun's come up and over 1,000 times. Summers and winters have cracked the mountain a bit more, and the rain brought the dirt down. Some babies that weren't even born can talk in regular sentences, and the number of people who thought they were young and spry have noticed that they cannot run up a flight of stairs as they used to without their heart fluttering a little. All these things can happen in 1,000 days.
Nature's been pushing and contriving in other ways too. A number of young people have fallen in love and gotten married. Yes, the mountains got bit away by a few fractions of an inch. Thousands of gallons of water have passed through the mill. And every here and there, a new house is set up under a roof. Everybody seems to get married. You know what I mean? It's like people climb to their graves married.
The first act was called daily life. This act is called love and marriage.
There's a third act after this. I'm sure you all know what that's about.
So, it's 3 years later. It's July 7th, just after the high school commencement. This is time when most of our young people jump up and get married. After they finish their last examination of solid geometry and scissor observations, and suddenly, they feel they're fitted to be married. It's early morning.
Only this time it's been raining. It's been pouring. Mrs. Webb's garden, Mrs. Gibbs's garden, drenched. All those bean poles and pea vines, drenched. All this morning on Main Street, the rain looks like curtains being blown along.
And here comes Mrs. Gibbs and Mrs. Wax. As you saw before them, both of the ladies cook 3 meals a day, one for 20 years, the other for 40, and no summer vacation. They brought 2 children apiece, washed, cleaned the house,
and never a nervous breakdown. It's like what one of those Middle West poets said, you've got to have life to love life, and you've got to love life to have life. It's what they call a vicious circle.
Get up, Bessie!
Here comes Hannah Newsom, delivering the milk.
Morning, Joe.
Morning, Mrs. Newsom.
Anything in the world I don't know about today?
Not much, except losing Grover's Corner's best baseball player, George Gibbs.
Reckon he is.
He could hit and run bases, too.
Mighty fine ball player.
I don't see how we could give up a thing like that.
You're up early, Bill.
See if there's anything I can do to screw in the club. Reverse mirrors the old night.
Well, Joe here's all worked up about George Gibbs retiring from baseball.
Yes, sir. That's the way it goes. Back in '84, we had a ball player, Joe. Even George Gibbs couldn't touch it. Name of Henry. Went down to Maine and become a pastor. Wonderful ball player he was. Hannah, how's the weather look to you?
Oh, it's been raining so much, I think it'll clear up soon.
Good morning, Hannah. Do you think it's going to rain?
Oh, no, it'll probably clear up. How much would you like today?
Oh, Hannah, I have a house full of raisins. Looks like I'll need 3 of milk and 2 cream.
Good morning, Mrs. Newsom. I know I told you before, but I hope you can spare me another. Yes, number 2 of cream? Will it start raining again? No, I was just saying to Miss Gibbs I was going to clear up. I hope they'll be happy, Miss Gibbs. No, or Miss Gibbs. No, they will. You plan on seeing you at the wedding? Oh, yeah, I'm going to be there.
Well, Mom, the day has come. You're losing one of your chicks.
Oh, Frank Gibbs, don't say another word. I feel like crying every minute. Sit down and drink your coffee.
The groom's up shaving himself, although there ain't enough lot to shave. Whistling and singing like he's glad to leave us. I even hear him saying I do to the mirror. Thing is, it doesn't sound very convincing to me.
How'd that end, Frank? Oh, I've been arranging his clothes and seeing to it that he's put warm things on. Frank, they're too young. Emily won't think of such things. They'll catch the death of cold within a week.
Hi, Julia. I was remembering my wedding.
Oh, don't start that, Frank Gibbs.
I was the scariest info in all of New Hampshire. Thought I'd make a mistake for sure. And there you were, walking down that aisle, the prettiest girl I'd ever seen before. But the trouble was, I'd never seen you. There I was in the Congregational Church, you're a total stranger.
How do you think I felt, Frank? Weddings are perfectly awful things. Farces, that's what they are. Here, I've made something for you.
Like Juliet Hersey, French toast.
It wasn't hard to make and I had to do something.
How do you sleep last night, Julia?
Well, I heard a lot of the hours struck off.
Yes, I get a shock every time from George that you have to be a family man. That great gangling thing. Oh, I tell you, the relationship between father and son is the most awkward, darnest.
Well, mother and daughter's no picnic, let me tell you.
They'll all have their, I'm sure they'll have their troubles, but that's not our business. Everyone is right to their own troubles.
That's a fact. People are meant to go through life 2 by 2. It ain't natural to be lonesome.
Why, Julia, do you know what was one of the things I was most scared of when I was marrying you?
I'll go along with you.
I was afraid we wouldn't have material for a conversation more than last us a few weeks. That's a fact. I thought we'd be eating our meals in silence. But we've been conversing now for 20 years without any signs of any barren spells.
That's true. Good weather, bad weather. It ain't very choice, but always find something to say. Did you hear Rebecca stirring about upstairs?
No, only day of the year Rebecca isn't bossing everyone around. She's in her room. I get the impression she's crying.
Oh, this has got to stop. Oh, Rebecca, come and get your breakfast.
Morning, everybody. Only 5 more hours to live.
Why, George Gibbs, where are you going?
Just open over the grass. See my girl.
Oh, it's raining torrents outside. Put on your overshoes.
Mom, it's just a step.
Oh, but George, you'll catch your death of cold and cough all through the service.
Oh.
George.
George! Do as your mother tells you.
You're living in your own house, you can kill yourself in all weathers. But when you're in my house, you'll live wisely, thank you. I bet Miss Webb won't have, isn't used to callers at 7 in the morning. Well, take a cup of coffee before you go.
Back in a minute, Mom. Morning, Mother Webb.
Goodness, George, you scared me. Now, I can let you step in for a minute, but you know I can't invite you in.
Why not?
George, you know just as well as I do. The groom can't see his bride on their wedding day, and still he sees her in the church.
It's just a superstition, isn't it? Good morning, Mr. Webb.
Good morning, George.
Mr. Webb, you don't believe in that superstition, do you?
Well, there's a lot of common sense in some superstitions, George.
Millions followed it, George, and you don't want to be the first to fly in the face of custom.
How is Emily?
Hasn't waked up yet. Haven't heard a sound out of her.
Is she asleep?
Of course she is. We were up till all hours, sewing and packing. Now, George, I'll tell you what I'll do. You sit down there with Mr. Webb and have a cup of coffee, and I'll go upstairs and make sure she doesn't surprise you. There's some bacon too, but don't be long about it.
How are you, George?
Oh, I'm fine. Mr. Webb, what sense could there be in a superstition like that?
Well, on a girl's wedding morning, her head ought to be full of clothes and one thing and another. Don't you think that's about it?
Well, yes,
A girl's ought to be quite nervous on her wedding day.
Mr. Webb. Mr. Webb, how old were you when you first got married?
Well, George, I had taken some time to get settled, and Mrs. Webb, why, she wasn't much older than what Emily is. But age hasn't much to do with it, my boy. Not as much as other things.
Well, Mr. Webb, what were you going to say?
Was I going to say something? George, I was thinking the other day of some advice my father gave me on my wedding morning. Charles, he said, Charles, start out early showing her who's boss, he said. The best thing to do is just give her an order, just so she'll learn to obey. And if anything about your wife irritates you, anything, her conversation or anything, just get up and leave the house. And never let your wife know how much money you have. Never.
Mr. Webb,
So I took the opposite of my father's advice, and I've been happy ever since. And let that be a lesson to you, George. Never ask for advice on personal matters. George, are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
What?
Are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
Well, Uncle Luke's...
George, a book came into my office the other day on the philo system of raising chickens, and I want you to read it. I'm thinking of starting small in the backyard. I'm going to put an incubator in the
Charles,
cellar.
are you talking about that old incubator again? Here I was thinking you'd be talking about things more worthwhile.
Well, Myrtle, if you would like to give the boy some wise words, I'll leave you alone with him.
George, Emily sent you her love, but she does not want to lay eyes on you. Goodbye.
Bye!
Oh, well, Myrtle, I guess you haven't heard of the older superstition.
What do you mean, Charles?
Well, since the caveman, no bridegroom shall lay eyes on his father-in-law on the day of their wedding, or near it. Now remember that.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Thank you, Mrs. Webb. Now, we'll have to interrupt again here. You see, we want to know how all this began. Weddings, plans to spend a lifetime together. We're awfully interested in how big things like that begin. You know how it is. You're 21 or 22 and you make some decisions and wish. You're 70, you've been a lawyer for 50 years, and that white-haired person by your side has eaten over 50,000 meals with you.
How do such things happen? George and Emily are going to show you the conversation when they first met. But before that, I want you to try to remember what it was like to being very young, particularly the days you were first in love. You were like a person sleepwalking, you didn't quite know what street you were in, you didn't quite hear everything that was said to you. You were just a little bit
Crazy. Will you remember that, please? Now, George and Emily will be coming out of high school at 3 o'clock. George has just been elected president of the junior class, and as it's June, that means he'll be president of the senior class all next year. Emily has just been elected secretary and treasurer. I don't have to tell you how important that is.
I can't. I gotta go home. I'm sorry. Ernestine, can you come over later and do some Latin? Isn't that Cicero just the worst thing? Tell your mother you have to. Goodbye. Goodbye, Fred. Goodbye, Helen.
Emily, can I carry books for you?
Why? Thank you. It isn't far.
Excuse me, 1 minute, Emily.
Hey, Bob, if I'm late to practice, start anyways without me. Just give Herb some long high ones.
I'm awfully glad you were elected too, Emily.
Thank you.
Emily, why are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at you.
Well, you've been acting so funny around me lately.
Well, since you asked. Goodbye, Miss Corcoran.
Bye, Miss Corcoran. Well, what is it?
I don't like the whole change that's come over you in the last year. I'm sorry, but I have to tell the truth and shame the devil.
The change, how do you mean?
Well, up to a year ago, I used to like you. a lot. And I used to watch as you did everything. Since we had been friends for so long, and then you started spending all your time at baseball. And you never stopped to talk to anybody anymore, you didn't. Not even to your own family. And it's a fact you've gotten awful stuck up and conceited, and all the girls say so. And it hurts me to hear them say it, but I have to agree with them a little bit. I'm sorry if that hurt your feelings, but I can't be sorry I said it.
Well, I'm glad you said it, Emily. I didn't think that a change was happening to me like that. I guess it's hard for a few faults to not creep up into a fellow's character.
I always expect a man to be perfect, and I think he ought to be.
I don't think it's possible to be perfect, Emily.
Well, my father is, and as far as I can see, your father is, so why should you be?
I see that it's the other way around. That boys aren't naturally good, but girls are.
You should know right now that I am not perfect. It's harder for a girl to be as perfect as a man because we're more nervous. I'm sorry I said all those things about you. I don't know what made me say it.
Emily,
I can see it's not the truth at all, and I suddenly think it's not that important anyway.
Emily, do you want to go get an ice cream soda or something before you go home?
Well, thank you. I would.
Hello, George. Hello, Emily. What will you have? Why, Emily, what? What have you been crying about?
Oh, she just got an awful scare, Mr. Morgan. She almost got ran over by that hardware store wagon. People say that Tom Hawkins drives a crazy man.
But be careful on Main Street these days. It's worse every year. I'll get you some water. What can I get for you?
I'll have a strawberry phosphate, Mr. Morgan.
No, Emily, have a strawberry ice cream soda. Me. 2 strawberry ice cream sodas, Mr. Morgan.
2 strawberry ice cream sodas coming right up. Yes, sir, yes, sir. There are 125 horses in Grover's Corners the minute I'm talking to you. State inspector was in here yesterday. With all these automobiles coming into town, the best thing to do is just stay home. It's not safe. I remember a time where a dog would fall asleep in the middle of Main Street and nothing come along to disturb him all day. Well, here they are. Enjoy them. Mrs. Ellis, what can I do for you?
They're so expensive.
Oh, no, Emily, don't think about that. We're celebrating our election. And you know what else I'm celebrating?
No.
I'm celebrating that I've got a friend who tells me all the things that I have to know about me.
Oh, George, please don't think of that.
No, Emily, you stick to it. What you said was right. But Emily, you'll see, I'm going to change so quick. Emily, can I ask a favor of you?
Yes, George?
Will you write me a letter once in a while if I go to state agricultural school?
Yes, I certainly will, George. My, being away for 3 years, I think you get out of touch with things here. Maybe after a while, letters from Grover's Corners won't be so interesting. Grover's Corners isn't that interesting when you think about the whole of New Hampshire. It's a lovely town.
People wouldn't come when I wouldn't want to know everything that happens here, Emily. I know that's true.
I'll try to make my letters interesting.
Emily, whenever I meet a farmer, I ask him if he thinks it's important
to go to agricultural school to be a good farmer.
Yes?
Sometimes they say it's even a waste of time. You can learn all that stuff out of the pamphlets that the government gives you anyways. And Uncle Luke's getting old now. He's about ready for me to start taking over the farm tomorrow if I could.
Wait, George.
Like you said, being gone, away, meeting other people. Gosh, if anything like that were to happen to me, I don't want to go. But yeah, I guess that new people aren't any better than the old ones. I'll bet they never are.
But George, it might be very important for you to go to state agricultural school to learn about cattle judging and soil and all those things. Of course, I don't know.
Emily, I'm going to make up my mind right now. I won't go. I'll tell Papa tonight.
But George, it's a whole year away. You don't have to make up your mind right now.
I'm glad you spoke to me like you did, Emily. That fault in my character. What you said was right. But there was one thing wrong in it. And that was that when you said I wasn't noticing people, and you, for instance. Well, why you said that you were watching me as I did everything. Well, I was doing the same about you the whole time. Why, sure, I always thought of you as one of the chief people I ever thought about. But I always made sure where you were sitting on the bleachers, who you were with, and for the past 3 days now I've been trying to walk home with you, but something always seems to get in the way. Like yesterday, I was sitting by the bleachers. I was standing up against the wall, waiting to walk you home, and you walked home with Miss Corcoran.
Why, life is awful funny, George. Why, how was I supposed to know? Why, I thought you were just...
Emily, I'm going to tell you I'm not going away. I think that once you find someone that you're very fond of, and who's fond of you too, and who likes you enough to be interested in your character, and that's just as important as college is. Even more so. That's what I think.
I think it's awfully important too, George.
Really, if I go and make a big change, would you be, could you be?
I have and always will be.
So I guess this is a really important talk we're having then.
Yes, yes.
Wait just a minute. I'll walk you home. Mr. Morgan, I don't have my wallet with me. I have to go home and...
Do you mean to tell me?
But, yes, but I have reasons. But here's my gold watch that you can keep while I go home and...
Keep your watch, George. I'll trust you.
I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Trust you 10 years, George, not a day over.
Oh.
Middle of your shock, Emily?
Why, thank you, Mr. Morgan. It was nothing.
Well, now we're ready to get on with the wedding.
There are a lot of things going on during a wedding. There are a lot of things to be thought about a wedding. We cannot put it into a wedding naturally, and not especially in a wedding in rose quarters. Awfully plain and short. In this wedding, I played a minister, so it gave me some rights to say something about this wedding. In a few moments, the wedding gets pretty serious. You see, some churches said marriage is a sacrament. I don't quite understand, but I can guess. Just like Mrs. Gibbs said earlier, people are meant to live 2 by 2. This is a good wedding, but people are all put together. And even at a good wedding, there are a lot of confusion way down deep in every people's mind. And we thought we ought to put them in our play too.
The real hero of the scene isn't on stage at all, and I'm sure you all know who that is. It's like what one of those European fellows said. The child brought to the world is God's attempt to make a perfect human being. Well, we've all seen nature pushing and contriving for some time now. We all know she's interested in quantity, but I think she's interested in quality too. Don't forget all the other witnesses at this wedding, the ancestors. Millions of them. Most of them set out to live 2 by 2 as well. Millions of them. Well, that's all our sermon. It wasn't very long anyway.
Well, I don't know what on earth there is to be crying about. Well, I guess it's that came over at breakfast this morning. There was Emily sitting at the table eating her breakfast as she's done every day for 17 years, and now she's off to eat it in somebody else's house. And Emily, she suddenly sat her head down on the table, and she cried. And I've got to say it, there's something downright cruel about sending our girls off into marriage this way. I hope her girlfriends have told her a thing or two. I know it's cruel, but I couldn't bring myself to say anything. Went into it blind as about myself. Well, here he comes.
George, what's the matter? Listen, I don't want to go roll. Why is everybody pushing me so?
Why, George? You wanted it?
No, Mom, listen to me.
Oh, no, stop it, George, stop it.
No, Mom, for the last time, I'm telling you.
No, stop it, George. What are you
I-
saying? What's wrong with you? I'm ashamed of you.
Where's Emily?
George, you gave me such a turn.
Cheer up, Ma. I'm getting married. Yeah, Mom, why don't you reserve Thursday nights? And we'll be there. We'll come to dinner every Thursday night. Just you wait. Are you crying, Mom? What are you crying for? Getting married, Mom. We gotta get ready for this.
Never felt so alone in my whole life. And George, standing over there looking so... Ugh, I hate him. I wish I were dead. Oh, Papa.
Emily, don't get upset.
But why can't I just leave?
Everything's all right.
Let's go away.
No! You're just overreacting.
But there must be some place we can go. I could work for you. I could keep house.
No, you mustn't say such things. George, will you come here a minute? Why, George is a fine fellow. You're marrying the finest fellow in the whole world.
Papa.
George, I'm giving away my daughter. Do you think you can take care of her?
Mr. Webb, I want to. I want to try. I really love you. I need you.
Love me. And help. All I want is for someone to love me.
I'll try.
You mean forever and ever? Do you hear?
Yes. Come, quick, they're waiting for us.
George, do you take this woman, Emily, to be a wedded wife, to have...
Perfectly lovely wedding. Loveliest wedding I ever saw. Oh, I do just love a good wedding, don't you? Doesn't she make a lovely bride?
Emily, do you take this man, George, to be a wedded husband?
Don't know when I've seen such a beautiful wedding, but I always cry. I don't know why it is, but I always cry. Oh, I think it's just because I love to see young people so happy. Don't you? Oh, I think it's just lovely. I've married over 200 couples in my day. Do I believe in it? I don't know. Cottage, Sunday afternoon drives, go-kart, children, first rheumatism, grandchildren, second rheumatism, deathbed, the reading of the will. Once in 1,000 times, it's interesting. Well, let's have Mendelssohn's Wedding March.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming to our wedding. Thank you for coming to our wedding. Thank you.
I'm sure they'll be happy.
George.
That's the thing. The important thing is to just be happy. Bye.
This time, 9 years gone by, summer, 1913. Gradual changes in growers' corners. Horses are getting rare. People are coming to town in Ford. Everybody locks their door at night. Ain't any burglars yet, but they've heard of them. You see, things don't change often around here.
This is certainly an important part of Grover's Corners. It's on a hilltop, a windy hilltop. Lots of sun, moon, often lots of clouds. Come up here on a fine afternoon and you can see range on range of hills, awful blue they are. Up there by Lake Sunapee and Lake Winnipesaukee. Way up, if you've got a glass, you see the White Mountain, Mount Washington, where North Conway and Conway is. And over there, our favorite mountain, Mount Monadnock, and all the towns that lie around it. Jaffrey, East Jaffrey, Petersboro, Dublin. Way down there is Grover's Corners.
Yes, beautiful spot up here. I often wonder why people want to be buried in Woodlawn and Berkeley if they might pass the same time up in New Hampshire. Over there, are the Old Stones. 1670, 1680, strong-minded people come a long way to be independent. Over there are the Civil War veterans. Iron flags on their graves. New Hampshire boy had a notion that the Union ought to keep together. Though they never seen 50 miles of it themselves. All they knew was the name, the United States of America. The United States of America, and they went and died about it.
This here is the new part of the cemetery. Here's your friend, Mrs. Gibbs, Simon Stimson, organist at the Congregational Church, Mrs. Soames, who loves the wedding so. You remember. Here's Editor Webb's boy, Wally, who died when his appendix burst on a Boy Scout trip to Crawford Notch. Yes, a lot of sorrow has kind of quieted down up here. People just wild with grief brought their relatives up to this hill. You know how it is. Time, and sunny days, rainy days, snow. At the end of the day, we're all glad we're in a beautiful place now, and we're all coming up here when our fit's over.
There's something we know, but we don't take them out and talk about them very often. There's something that's eternal. Ain't houses, ain't names, ain't earth, and even ain't star. There's something that with bones, it's eternal. That's related to human beings. Greatest people who have ever lived have told us for 5,000 years. You'd be surprised at. People lose hold of it. There's something way down deep. It's eternal about every human being.
You all know as well as I do that the dead don't stay interested in us living people for very long. Gradually, they lose hold of the earth. The ambitions they had, fears they had, people they loved, they get weaned away. That's the way I put it. They get weaned away from earth. Stay here while the earth part of them burns out. They're waiting. They're waiting for something they feel is coming. Something important. Aren't they waiting for the eternal part in them to come out clear?
The things they are going to say may hurt your feeling, but that is the way it is. Husband and wife, mother and daughter, enemies and enemies, money and a miser. All these terribly important things kind of go pale around here, and what's left after the memory is gone and their joint identity?
Well, there are some living people around here. There's Josephine Stoddard, town undertaker, foreseeing the creation of a new grave. Here comes the Grover's Corners boy, coming back from going out west.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Stoddard.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. Let me see now. Do I know you?
Oh, I'm Sam Craig.
Gracious sakes alive, of all people. I should have known you'd be back for the funeral.
Yes, I've been away for 12 years now. I'm in business out in Buffalo now, but I was in the East when I heard the news of my cousin's death, so I thought I'd combine things a little and come to see my old home. You look well.
Yes, can't complain. Very sad journey today, thank you.
Yes.
Yes. I always hate to supervise when a young person is taking over. They'll be here in a few minutes now. I had to supervise. I had to come early because my son's supervising at home.
Old Mrs. McCarty. I used to do chores for her after school. She had a bagel.
Yes, we brought Ella McCarty here a number of years ago now.
Why, is this my Aunt Julia? I forgot she... Oh, of course.
Doc Gabe's lost his wife 2 or 3 years ago now, about this time. And today's a pretty hard blow for him, too.
That's my sister Carrie's boy, Sam Craig.
It wasn't comfortable when they were around.
Simon.
Do they choose their own words much?
No, most of the bereaved get the worst.
It doesn't sound like Aunt Julia. There are many of those her sisters left now. He was an organist at the church, wasn't he? Drank a lot, we used to say.
Yes, he'd seen a peck of trouble. Took his own life, you know.
Oh, did he?
Hung himself in the attic. No one was supposed to know about it, but of course it got around. He wrote his own epitaph. You can see it written there. It ain't a verse exactly.
Why? It's just some notes of music. What is it?
Oh, I wouldn't know. It was written up in the Boston papers at the time.
Mrs. Stoddard? Who did she die?
Who?
My cousin.
Oh, didn't you know? Had some trouble bringing a baby into the world. What's her second, though? There's a little boy about 4 years old. You'll excuse me now. I see they're coming.
Who is it, Julia?
My daughter-in-law, Emily Webb.
My brother must use awful money to put up. What did she die of?
In childbirth.
Childbirth. Almost forgot about that. Wasn't life awful and wonderful?
Wonderful, was it?
Now, Simon Stimson, stop it.
I remember Emily's wedding. Such a lovely wedding. I remember her practicing the poems at graduation exercises. She was always the brightest girl to graduate high school. Mr. Kingsley always said so time after time. I called upon the farm before I died. Perfectly beautiful farm.
That's the same road we lived on. Right Smart Farm. Oh, I love that hymn.
Hello.
Hello, Emily.
Hello, Molly. Hello, Mother Gibbs.
Hello, Emily.
Hello. It's raining.
Yes. They'll be gone soon, dear. Just sit and rest yourself.
It seems thousands and thousands of years since I felt Papa remember that was my favorite hymn. I wish I'd been here a long time. I like being here. How do you do, Mr. Stimson?
How do you do, Emily?
Mother Gibbs, George and I had made that farm with me just the best place you ever saw. We thought of you the whole time. We wanted to show you the new barn and cement lumber we bought just for the stock. We bought it out of the money you left us.
I did?
Why, don't you remember? The legacy you left us? Mine, it was over $350.
Yes. Yes, Emily.
Well, there's a patent device on the drinking fountain, so it never overflows, Mother Gibbs. It never sinks below a certain line they had there. It's fine. Oh, it won't be the same to George without me, but it's a lovely farm. My people don't understand, do they?
No, dear, they don't.
They're sort of shut up in these boxes, aren't they? Seems I knew them last 1,000 years ago. My boy's spending the day at the McCartys. Oh, this is McCarty. My boy's spending the day at your house.
Is he?
Yes, he loves it there. We have a Ford too, Mother Gibbs. Never gives us any trouble. I don't drive though. When does this feeling go away? Being one of them, when does it?
Dear, just rest yourself. Be patient.
Look, they're going, but they're finished. Look, Mother Gibbs is bringing some of my flowers to you. My, he looks just like George, doesn't he? I never realized before how troubled and in the dark live persons are. How I love them so. The morning, the night, that's all they are. Trouble.
A little cooler than it was.
Yes, that rain's cooled it down a bit.
Those northeastern winds always do the same thing, don't they? It isn't rain, it's a 3-day low.
But one can go back there. One can go back there again. I feel it. I know it. Why, just then for a moment I was talking about the farm. And my boy was on my lap as plain as day.
Yes, dear. Of course you can.
So one can go back there again and live all those days over again? Why not?
Some have, but they come back here. It isn't wise, Emily. It really isn't. It isn't what you think it'd be, Emily.
I won't live over a sad day. I'll choose a happy one. I'll choose today that I first knew that I was in love with George. Why should that be painful?
Not only relive it, but you watch yourself living it.
Yes?
As you watch it, you know the thing that they, down there, never know. You know the future. You know what happens next.
But why is that painful?
That's not the only reason why you shouldn't go, Emily.
Once you've been here longer, you'll understand that our purpose here is to forget all that and to think only of what's ahead and to be prepared for what's ahead. Once you've been here longer, you'll understand that. But how could I ever forget that life? That's all I know. That's all I had.
It isn't wise, Emily. Really? It isn't.
I'll choose a happy day anyway. No, at least choose an unimportant day. Choose the least important day of your life. It will be important enough. Well, and it can't be since I married George, or since the baby was born. I can choose a birthday, can't I? I choose my 12th birthday.
So, it's February 11th, 1899. Do you want any special time today?
Oh, I want the whole day.
You can remember that it's been snowing for a couple of days and it stopped the night before, and people begun to clean roads. The sun's coming up.
Look, there's Main Street. There's Mr. Morgan's drugstore before you changed it, and the livery stable.
Yes, this is 1899, 14 years ago.
My, this is the town I knew as a little girl. And look, there's the old white fence that used to be around my house. I'd forgotten about that. Oh, I loved it so. Are they inside?
Yes, your mother should be coming down to get breakfast soon.
Will she?
Yes, and you remember your father had been away for several days.
No.
He'd been making a speech at his university in New York, Clinton.
Look, there's Herr Newsom and the policeman. But wait. He's dead. He died.
Morning, Val. You're up early.
Morning, Hannah. You're rescuing a party. Darn near froze to death got my Polish tongue there. Got drunk and lay out in the snowdrift. Thought he was in bed when I shook him.
Children, Wally, Emily, time to get up. Mom, I'm here. Oh, how young Mama looks. I never knew Mama was ever that young.
You can come and dress by the fire if you like, but hurry. Morning, Mrs. Newsom.
Whew, it's cold.
Yeah, it's -10 by my barn. Think of it. Keep yourself wrapped up.
Mama, I can't find my blue hair ribbon anywhere.
Just open your eyes, dear, that's all. I laid it out for you on the dresser there special. If there was a snake, it would bite you.
Yes, yes.
Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Mr. Webb. Got up early.
Yeah, it's just been back to my old college in New York State. Any trouble here?
I was called up this morning to rescue a Polish fella. Darn near froze to death he was.
Well, we must get it in the paper.
So much.
Good morning, Mother.
Morning, Charles. How did it go?
Oh, fine, I guess. I told him a few things. Everything all right here?
Yes, can't think of anything that's happened special. Been right cold.
Well, it's colder than that in Hamilton College. The students' ears are falling off. It ain't Christian. The paper have any mistakes in it?
None that I noticed. Coffee's ready when you want it. And it's Emily's birthday. Did you remember to get her something?
Oh, yes, I've got her something right here. Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
Charles, don't bother her now. She's slow enough as it is.
I can't bear it. You're so young. You're so beautiful. Why do they ever have to grow old? Just for a moment, we're all here. I can't look at everything hard enough. Good morning, Mama.
A very happy birthday to my girl and many happy returns. There's some surprises waiting for you on the table.
Oh, Mama, you shouldn't have.
That blue paper is from your Aunt Carrie. And I reckon you can guess who brought the postcard out. George Gibbs must have come over pretty early in the cold this morning. Right nice of him.
Why? George. I'd forgotten about that.
Chew your bacon good and slow. It'll help keep you warm on a cold day.
Mama, I'm here. Mama, 14 years have gone by. We're dead. I'm dead. You're a grandmother. And I married George Gibbs. Mama, Wally's dead too. His appendix burst on a camping trip to North Conway. We felt just terrible about it. Don't you remember? Just for a moment, we're all here. Just for a moment, we're happy. Let's look at one another.
That and the yellow paper is something I found among your grandmother's things in the attic. You're old enough to wear it now, and I thought you'd like it.
Thank you. What? Is that one there from you? Oh, Mama, it's beautiful. It's just what I wanted.
I hope you'd like it. Your Aunt Nora couldn't find one in Concord, so I sent it all the way to Boston. Wally made something for you, too, in manual training class. He's very proud of it. You shouldn't make a big fuss over it. Your father also has something for you. Don't know what it is myself. Shh, here he comes.
Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
I can't go on. It goes by so fast. We don't have time to look at one another. So, while this was going on, we never even realized.
take me back up the hill to my grave, but wait. First, one more look.
Bye, world. Clover's Corners.
Mama, Papa, and clocks ticking, and Mama's sunflowers, and food, and coffee, and sleeping, and waking up. Oh, world, you're too wonderful for anybody to realize you. Do human beings ever realize life while they live it? Every minute.
No. Saints and poets, they do some.
I'm ready to go back.
Were you happy?
No, I should have listened to you. That's all human beings are, just blind people.
Look, it's clearing up. The stars are coming out.
Oh, Mr. Simpson, I should have listened to you.
Yes, now you know, now you know. It's so blessed to be alive. To move about in a cloud of ignorance, to go up and down, trampling on the feelings of those about you, to spend and waste time as though you had 1,000,000 years, to always be at the mercy of one self-centered passion or another. That's the happy existence we're going to go back to. Ignorance and blindness.
Simon Stimson, that's not the whole truth, and you know it. Emily, look at that star. I forget its name.
My boy Joel was a sailor. Knew them all. He used to sit out on the porch evenings. Tell them all by name. Yes, sir, wonderful.
The star is mighty good company.
Yes, yes. It is.
And my boy Joel, who knew the stars, said it took millions of years to get one speck of light to get to the earth. Didn't seem like a body could believe it. That's what he said. Millions of years.
Why? The gift. It's George.
Yes, dear. Just rest yourself.
It's George.
That ain't no way to behave. He ought to be home.
Mother Gibbs.
Yes, Emily.
Live people don't understand these days.
No, dear. They don't understand.
Most people asleep in Grover's Corners. There are some lights still on. Shorty Hawkins down at the depot just watched the Albany train going by. At Liberty Stable, some people stay standing up late and talking.
Yes, the stars are doing their old crisscross journeys in the sky. Scholars haven't settled the matter yet, but they don't actually think there are any living beings up there. Just chalk. Fire. This one's straining away. Straining away all the time, and strains so bad that every 16 hours everybody's got to lay down and get a rest.
It's 11 o'clock in Grover's Corners. You need a good rest too.
Good night.